Nasty Nana! Howdy folks, and welcome back to another episode of Tyria Talk. My name is Richie Procopio, aka Otter, and this show is all about Guild Wars 2. Today is episode number 88, and today we're going to be talking about Mike O'Brien's forum post last week that's been a bit controversial, where he announced that the development of new legendaries will be suspended indefinitely. So I want to kind of give you my thoughts in reaction to this whole thing, and I'll say in advance that I have comments about this decision on my own, but I also have feedback and comments about the community's reaction to it. So it may not be the most popular opinion, but hell, we'll give it a shot. All right, so if you haven't seen this post, I'll put a link to it in the description down below. But basically, he said that, as the new game director, since Colin's leaving, he's had to make a tough decision and a controversial decision, and that they're going to be releasing one more of the new set of legendary weapons. This is going to be the short bow, and it's going to come in the next, I believe it's coming in the April quarterly update, and it'll be coming out. And then after that short bow comes out, they're suspending any other new ones. So since the expansion came out, they have the pistol, the new axe, the new staff, and now the new short bow. But creation of any more new legendary lines is going to be suspended indefinitely. And they're going to take that team of people, which he put in the forum post that it's a team of 6 developers, and they're going to move them over to Living World so that they can focus more on pumping out more content and stop a little bit of the content drought. There's been subsequent posts since the original one where he kind of describes the reallocation of those resources a bit. And so that's what it is. He doesn't say the word canceled, but suspended indefinitely does make it sound like we should not hold our breath for any kind of future legendary weapons, at least in the near term. So what are some of my thoughts on this? My first thought is disappointment. I think most people who play Guild Wars 2 will find that this is a bit of a disappointing and a letdown of sorts. I saw the new the legendaries when they were teasing them before the expansion came out, and they looked super cool. And now they have this way in game of guaranteeing that you get a precursor. It's still a ton of work, and sometimes it's even more expensive than it used to be, but at least you can kind of log in each day and work a little bit on these collections, and it's a fun content for some people to do that really want to get their hands on these legendaries and stuff like that. So it's disappointing to hear that we're not going to have another set. For me personally, I had always thought I would want to go on another legendary journey. I have Twilight, which I got a couple of years ago, but I haven't really focused and started working on a new one since then. And when they announced the new ones for the expansion, an axe, a staff, or a pistol weren't going to be ones that I'm going to use regularly on my warrior, and since I usually just play warrior, I didn't really go after any of them. And I was kind of always thinking in the back of my mind, hey, when they do another great sword, or if there's another one that sticks out and really screams, yes, Bog Otter needs that, then I might go for it. So in terms of how this decision impacts me, I'm no longer looking forward to that, and I kind of have to look at what's already there now and say, hey, do I want to craft one of the ones that was in the game since launch? Do I want to craft one of these new ones, even though it's not really going to fit my main character? So it kind of almost kills that experience for me a little bit. Having said that, I think that I understand where this decision is coming from. And one thing that I'll point out about a lot of the feedback that I've seen the community kind of address since this announcement is they get focused on the number of developers that are getting moved over, right? A lot of comments have been of that number 6. What do you mean? There's only been 6 developers working on that, how much of an impact are 6 people going to have? If you move them over to the Living World team, you should just keep them on the dev on designing the legendaries, because 6 people isn't really gonna have much of an impact. And I kind of think that whole line of logic is kind of irrelevant, right? It's really it's almost unfortunate that he told us that kind of information in the post, right? He was trying to be honest and forthcoming and really kind of sharing some of the inner workings of, okay, yeah, we have these resources, this specific number of people is going to move over here, but a lot of people have glommed onto that specific feedback and kind of went overboard trying to calculate like backseat game design, like, well, you're really not going to get much impact out of those 6 people. And I think that's totally beside the point, totally irrelevant to it. Where they allocate resources is completely their business, and how much impact or not, it really, it has nothing to do with, us as players of the game. What I think we need to focus on is this is a numbers game, right? ArenaNet is there to make money. It is a business first and foremost, and they have a limited number of resources that they have to allocate to where they think is going to contribute to the best, places in the game. Obviously, in a perfect scenario, there'd be limitless resources, and we can get everything that we wanted. But that's not the reality that we live in. I tend to believe that they look at the metrics on these kind of things, and they've made a pretty smart decision. Disappointing as it is, right? Keep that in mind. I am disappointed about this. I would like to have this in. But when you think about the legendary progress, or the legendary scavenger hunt type thing, what percentage of the player population is really doing that? Now, I don't have that information, but I would tend to believe it's very, very small. Even for somebody like me who actually has gotten a legendary before and maybe was planning on maybe doing one, I would probably in my life of Guild Wars 2 maybe only ever have gone after one more of these things, right? So let's say I go after Nevermore, the staff. That's still a very small piece of this content that I'm going after, and I might even be one of the exceptions. I think the vast majority of people playing Guild Wars 2 will never touch these scavenger hunt lines, and I think even a greater portion of the population may only touch one, possibly two of these scavenger hunt things in their lifetime. So when you look at it with big picture, X% of their development time, and I don't know what that is total. Those 6 people working full time on it, I don't know if that's 3% of their development time or 10% of their development time, or what number that is. But there's a certain number of development hours that team of 6 was contributing towards, right? And you combine that, and you compare that to what percentage of the player population is going to actually see this content. And I think it probably paints a pretty big, pretty clear picture that should not be the priority for their content, right? When you picture something like Living World episode updates, which probably, like, I'm making up numbers here, but I don't know, but you might have a number like 60%, 70% of the population might experience, versus maybe 1% of the population does one of these legendary lines. I think it's pretty clear where they should focus their attention on. So as disappointed as I am, I can take that step back and think, you know what? This is probably smart, right? In terms of how many people are going to actually be, experiencing that content. Now, for the people who love the legendary journey, or this is a primary part of their Guild Wars 2 experience, right? There are people that just this is their content. It's absolutely gut-wrenching, and disappointing for that group of people. So I don't want to undermine people's reaction to that. I think people being angry or frustrated and those kind of things is perfectly acceptable. But I do want to kind of caution folks who have gone down this pitchfork and torch mentality, like we need to burn ArenaNet for this. I mean, because there's a whole bunch of things going on Reddit and in the forums, just people just out of their mind angry about this. And I think it's okay to be upset, but we have to kind of take a step back and realize what our reaction to this could do long term in terms of the communication between ArenaNet and our community. I've already mentioned one thing where Michael Bryan was actually giving us more information that he needed to, in terms of telling us there were 6 people working on this, and that kind of has blown up into its own thing, right? People just going nuts about that, focusing in on 6 people, it's not going to have an impact, everything I said before. So in my reaction to that is, already they're probably going to be like, all right, the next time we have to kind of deliver bad news about this, we're going to keep it very high level. We're not going to give them any kind of details like that, because you see what happened last time. So already I think that's going to have an impact on how they kind of communicate in the future. They're going to give us less information because we take that information and try to nail them to the dartboard with it. Consequently, the other thing, a lot of feedback I've been saying, and I agree that this is part of the reason why it's disappointing, is, they said they were going to deliver all of these legendary weapons. We were going to have a whole new set of legendary weapons. They were going to come a little bit at a time. And it was a promise. It was something that they kind of said was part of Heart of Thorns. So I'm not going to try to kind of backtrack what they said. It was clearly communicated that we can expect this. But this announcement, this reaction, is a change of their mind. It is a change of priorities, and as a developer, they have the right to change their mind. And so when there's a bunch of people kind of just hammering over and over again, well, here's a quote where you said this, or here's a video where you said that, and they kind of just try to like throw it in their face about these broken promises and stuff like that. Well, what this will do long term, if this kind of thing continues, is it will make ArenaNet, and this is more than just an ArenaNet issue, this is a game dev thing overall. This will make them not want to announce anything until it's signed, sealed, and delivered, pretty much, right? There's feedback all the time in the community about people saying, hey, well, how come we don't have enough communication? Why don't we know what you're working on? What are some of the things in the pipeline? Get us excited about these things. Well, devs are always very cagey to announce things like that because they're afraid if they can't deliver, or if the scope changes, or if there's other priorities get thrown at them and they have to change course, that they're going to get railroaded by this ton of unhappy gamers who said, well, you promised this and you said this and now you're not delivering on this. So I see all of this feedback, all of this anger, which again, it's not completely unfounded anger, but I see it as just making I see the result of ArenaNet maybe taking a step back and saying, all right, we are having a policy where we're not going to announce things until we know that they're going to for sure come out, and we're not going to get a pipeline as much as, all right, here's the stuff we're going to be launching with a couple of weeks from now, because that's what we can guarantee is coming out. So I don't know. I just think overall people just need to kind of factor those things in, that our reaction to them delivering this kind of news can have an impact on future communication. I applaud Michael Bryan and the team for being brave and kind of coming out and saying, listen, this is disappointing stuff, but this is the reality of the situation we're in. In fact, I think they need to disappoint us a little bit more in terms of communicating things that the community has been expecting for years and years and years, and it may just not be on the pipeline at all. Like, for example, we've been asking for build templates since the beginning of the game, right? A way to quickly switch specs, and it's always been something they've talked about. Yeah, we would like to do that. We would like to do that. We'd like to do that. Well, is that on the table or isn't it? If it's not on the table for like anywhere in the perceivable future, I would like them to say things like this. I would like them to tell us, hey, that's not on the table right now, because I think we hold up hope for a long time, and our community has a very long memory with some of this stuff. And I would like them to be a little bit more forthcoming about stuff we should not be expecting, so that we can focus on the stuff that's actually going to be a reality for us. I don't know. That's kind of how I feel about it. I am disappointed in this decision, but I understand this decision. One final bit of feedback here. I wish that there was some sort of concession that ArenaNet and Michael Bryan could have tossed at the community in tandem with this announcement, something to at least compensate, or at least makes the player base feel a little bit better about this decision. One of the things that comes to mind is there's got to be some work that has been done on the other legendary weapons, right? Maybe some art assets or spell effects or something that they already have done to some of the legendary weapons that were in the pipeline. They could maybe release those skins, put them in the game somewhere, make them rare drops off of a world boss, or put them in a raid encounter as way to get them, or maybe as a PvP reward track, or some way to put them into the game, so that the work that was already done on some existing legendaries that now may never see the light of day at least makes it into the game, or something, some way to kind of acknowledge to the player base that yes, this was something that was promised as part of Heart of Thorns. And, we realize that, we're not going to be delivering on this at this point, because we're changing directions and reallocating resources. And it's unfortunate, but it's something they need to do for the health of the game. But here's what we're going to do for the player base, anybody who has bought Heart of Thorns or something like that. I think that would have gone a long way, because there's a lot of people that, feel a little bit like there was some false advertising there, because, the website says, and some people may have bought Heart of Thorns while thinking about, as the legendaries as part of the features. I think it's probably a very small, maybe even nobody has bought the expansion thinking just because there was going to be a new full set of legendary items. I think most players have gotten a lot of things out of the expansion besides just that. But there's no denying that it's part of the feature set that was listed for the expansion, and now they're not coming through on it. So I wish this announcement came with some sort of, hey, we recognize, this, and here's the way we're going to compensate players. So I wish there was something with that. I think that would have gone a long way to, combating some of the acid that the community is now throwing at ArenaNet. So that was just one thing that I had in mind as something that I wished could have been done better in terms of announcing this bad news. I know it's been a while, it's been an interesting couple of months with in terms of content and what's going on in the game, but I still feel like there has been a lot. The expansion came out last October. We got a quarterly update in January, which put some new things in there. We've gotten raids in between there, and we're imminent. We're almost at April, where the next content patch, the quarterly update, will come out. I think I'm hoping things start to turn around and that the community gets back more on a positive, upbeat thing. And I'm really hoping in a couple days from now, with April 1st, that something comes back. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I just want to be settled about this, but I'm hoping. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Can we have that? Please. But anyway, I'm hopeful for the future. I always try to put more of a positive spin on things. But I don't know. What do you guys think of the debacle? Please keep your comments down below. Constructive. Air your disappointment and stuff like that. But I assume people have some strong opinions on this. Let me know in the comments below what you think. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that thumbs up button if you like the content of this video. And I hope everybody has a fantastic day, and I'll see you next time. Take care. Today is episode number 88, and today we're going to be talking about Mike O'Brien's forum post from last week that explains that the balls doesn't explain about balls at all. And today we're going to be talking about the decision that Mike O'Brien posted on the forums last week, explaining that the legendary